So welcome one and all to episode 55 of the Megavision Show, the companion podcast to Megavision's magazine. Today is October the 11th, 2020. I'm Graham, the production editor of Megavision's magazine. Joining me this week we have Scotty Mo Dizzle, the managing editor for Megavisions. And once again, we have our returning internet hermit all-star guest, the Nick Flair, former editor and contributor to Sega Addicts. How's it going, everybody? Are you both well?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm seeing happy faces.
We're going to talk over each other just like this. I'm done now.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Well, for the audience today, we have got a very special show for you, as always. We'll be answering some of your burning questions. We have our Pics of the Week, where we chat about Disco Elysium, a book, and the classic 80s movie film, Monster Squad. Plus, our feature discussion this week, we'll be taking a closer look at the recently released Game Gear Micro and delving into the world of all micro consoles in general. So, strap in and join us for the ride. But before we begin, let's start with the amuse-bouche that is our week. So, Scotty, let's start with you, my friend, and find out what you've been up to the last 7 days.
Not much, really. It's been a difficult week for personal reasons that we don't need to get into, but it's been hard. But otherwise, I haven't played much. Hopped in and out of Super Mario 35. I mentioned that last week to our answer to our listener question. And I realize now that game really needs to get nerfed for the end game portion, because you'll be playing, everybody knows the sound of when you're running out of time or something, and Mario, that happens when there's 5 people left. And of course, you're like, if you've played it since you were a kid, you think like, I'm out of time, what are you talking about, I'm earning time. But then you realize, oh, there's 5 left. But that last 5 people playing lasts sometimes longer than the full game that you'll play, because there's nothing to like, there needs to be like a blue shell or like an auto shrink everybody or something, because you can keep like, if it's just me and one other guy and we're dishing enemies out to each other, then our time is going up as we kill an enemy, because it's like +1 to every enemy kill with a fireball, +2 if you bounce on them, and then it like chains if you jump on a turtle and it kills them in a row. So you can go for a long time. You're basically waiting for someone to screw up, not to actually be better at the game than you. So it's still fun, but I think they need to figure out some way to... Did either of you guys have a chance to try it since we mentioned it last week at all?
And I think I should just mention for the audience who maybe didn't listen to the show last week what you're talking about. So this is the version of Super Mario. It's the original Mario game, or Super Mario Bros. Game, but you play against 99 other people, is that right, or something? Or
35.
35. Oh, yeah. Tetris was 99 people, wasn't it? So yeah, you play against 34 other people, 35 in total. And when you bounce on an enemy and kill an enemy, that enemy appears on everyone else's screen. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So you essentially send... So the main difference between this and Tetris 99, Tetris 99 is literally just Tetris. The only difference is you're playing more people, because you send your junk to them as you clear lines. They send their junk to you as they clear lines, or whatever I said. I don't know if I said that right. But Mario, you send your enemies to them as you clear them, and vice versa, including even Bowser from Castles. And it's also super cheap, because once you unlock coins and like level up in the game, you can start with the Fire Flower, which is like Fire Flower and the Star are king in that game, because you just mow down people. You can take your time with the Fire Flower, but at the same time, you're earning time to kill enemies. So this is an awesome idea and has huge potential, but they really need to have some item or something in there that just levels the playing ground for the end game, and like strips away maybe all items from players, even something as crazy as that, because it could last forever, because you are playing through the whole Mario game. So, but that's a fun thing to jump into. It's just like Tetris 99 is something you can jump into. It's only available for a limited amount of time as well. I don't know how long. Nintendo.
And on the game, can you use the teleport pipes which take you to the later levels? You know, you can skip like 5 levels or whatever.
Yeah. If you and I were playing, Graham, and maybe you flew through the first 3 levels, and then you're like on World 2, and I just get to the first warp pipe in World 1, 2, like that underground area. If I choose the warp to take me to like 4-1, it's not going to do that. It's going to catch me up to you because you're further ahead of me.
Okay.
Or something like that. I'm not sure how the algorithm works, but no one has ever like a full level or anything ahead of anyone else, unless it's the very beginning and you start out and just speed through stuff.
What if you are in the lead and you go in that warp pipe? Like, do you know what happens? Do you go to 4-1 and everyone just
It'll
warps?
probably take you ahead. I've never actually experienced it, and I haven't been able to like watch anyone else's screens close enough. You can spectate after you get knocked out, but at that point you're just too angry to watch anyone else. Although I will watch like the last two guys sometimes if I'm like third or whatever, and it's I don't know. There's only so much strategy you can apply to the first Mario game, you know.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and I really dig it. But at the same time, it's like I don't know if I'm ever gonna get first because I'm always gonna like be psyched out and not. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But yeah, other than that, not much. I have continued reading Ready Player One. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, and I remember Nick called me like years ago saying, "Hey, did you read this yet?" Because I saw the movie. I think you saw it with your brothers or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the movie there. Nick's holding. Is that the book or the movie?
It's a book.
Oh, it's the book.
And I've got
yeah, so I've got the same version as Scotty. So for the listeners,
Okay.
Scotty's holding up, I guess, the newer version of the book
Yeah, it's got, like,
with a slightly different cover.
lettering on it.
Yeah.
I think that's
So-
classic title, classic cover. Actually,
Oh, is
This
that
Oh, really? It looks
Yeah,
a
this
lot
is the
more.
film.
Okay. So Nick's got the one which is like the film cover, I guess. Yeah, and you've got the
Yeah, because it doesn't
Yeah.
have a.
because I got
did-
mine a while after the film came out, and it's the same as Scotty's. So I don't know.
I don't know. I am at the part where he is describing. I forget the kid's name. The main character describes how he found the first Easter egg thing, which
Okay.
is not really spoilers because they mentioned the first chapter that I think that he was the one to find it or something. But it's good. I really like it, and I watched a trailer, and I think I already have in my head that I'm not going to like the movie as much.
Oh no.
I'm just super annoyed. Maybe they'll explain it, but it bums me out that in the book the kid is overweight, he's got bad acne and stuff, and then he goes into the world and he makes himself quote unquote more attractive and appealing. In the movie, the trailer I already saw, he's already a good looking nerd. Doesn't need to change it. So that
true.
bums me out.
Yeah, and
So,
when you get to if you do watch the movie after, I'd like to speak to. There's something else that happens in the movie.
I will.
around
Yeah, I
that,
plan on it.
which I'd love to talk about because I was kind of just like, really. But wait till you watch the movie because I don't want to ruin anything for you.
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah. No, I actually know exactly what he's talking about. So,
Oh, okay, cool.
the
Graham
movie, I
mentioned.
think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. The movie is changed to be more watchable. Like I think. Well, I just mean that the bit with the first Easter egg, right?
Mhm.
In the
Okay,
movie,
yeah.
and because there's the trailer of it, it's like a big death race, which is visually
Oh.
exciting,
Right.
and so it's super different from how it is in the book, which would
Yeah.
potentially not be super exciting to watch. And they all kind of get changed like that to where I think only the last one is similar to the way that it is in the book,
Okay.
and they compress a lot of things. So
sure.
there's like lack of part of overcoming that sort of personal identity issues is part of the book, but they don't have the time to do that in a 2.5 hour movie. That's wall to wall licensing brands, so they don't do that.
Hmm.
So
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Graham was saying that he hated in the movie how Tracer from Overwatch is everywhere. And I looked it up while he was talking, and literally the movie started production the year after Overwatch came out. So it really explains that.
oh yeah.
Like I feel like all
But-
the other characters earn their position because they've been for generations of games and movies and stuff, and I think they've kind of earned this right. But yeah, I feel like that was too soon, almost. Like just you're clearly just cashing in for the kids or the Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's
kids.
just really funny when I think about it, because it's like, so that means that Ready Player One takes place sometime like obviously in the 2070s, but it's like, man, they're really banking on the lasting popularity of Overwatch and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and I
Right.
don't know, whatever else was. I would have thought it would be really funny if they had games that absolutely flopped like
Yeah.
Battleborn characters in Ready Player One would have been hilarious.
Or what was that one with the bikes or something? The motorcycles, I forget. There was another like battle royale game.
Motorbikes.
That
I don't even heard of that.
had, like, it was almost like if someone tried to get BMX XXX into a fucking battle royale thing or something. I forget what it was called. It had some generic name.
Even imagine if they had like Fortnite Miner, and he's like, just imagine like a 5-second bit of him flossing in the battle, and like 5 years from now, that would be like, people would turn it on and be like, what the fuck? At least now Tracer is still pretty popular. Like Overwatch is still pretty popular. It has its own Major League Gaming sort of thing, but you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's the risk you run, and I think I'm not gonna go on this tirade, but that lends back to why I did not like the Sonic movie, because there are so many references that in like 10 years they're not gonna mean anything. Even though one that's not gonna mean anything in 10 years was the one I did chuckle at, when Sonic looks down the barrel of Robotnik's camera or gun or whatever, he's like, welcome back to my live stream. I did chuckle at that because it was so dumb and out of place, but that's not gonna have a meaning in like 10 years.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I feel like for Sonic, that movie is set in present day, and those references kind of make sense for now. I know in the future we're going to think these don't mean anything.
It's super dated.
But yeah, with like Ready Player One, as you say, it's set in the future, so it's almost like these are all popular things that have been popular for decades and generations now. Like, a reference to Back to the Future, which was 30 years ago now and stuff. So these have lasted time for us. So hopefully in the future they will last time. But yeah, then something like Overwatch. 1 year. I don't know. If Overwatch had been out for 10 years and it was still popular, I'd be like, that's fine, that's cool. But yeah, so yeah, for Sonic, I feel it's a bit different because it's set in the present day. But I do understand why that is, a bit stupid. And
that is also weird, because I knew just between like Nick and other people in my different groups talking about the movie and the book, like saying that I knew that the book was 80s stuff and then the movie was current day stuff. It's interesting because they could have just stuck with 80s stuff and honestly been fine, because not only is it not going anywhere, but that decade and the 90s are coming back now even stronger. So it's just kind of funny. They thought they needed to modernize it. They had to modernize the nostalgia, which is a term I would like to coin. Trademark.
Modernize the nostalgia. I like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's what is happening.
I know.
So, but yeah, no, I'm not too far into it, but I am very much enjoying it. It is, it's just interesting, and it's also, I know it's not trying to be, but with the pandemic now, it's very much a satire all of a sudden. With just like homes on top of each other and us running this planet dry, essentially. But anyway, on outside of that, I have a pickup. And you guys are gonna laugh real hard.
Oh my god!
Because it's a blue Game Boy. Gear. Edit that out.
All right, Grandpa. I got you on them Game Boys you've been after.
Oh boy. So we're gonna talk about the small guys, but I already have a Game Gear. I'm holding up a red one right now that I have that was recapped, and I got it at Warp Zone a couple Christmases ago. This blue one I found at a Half Price Books for $30, and I'll show you why it's $30 though. Can you see that at all?
It's kind of
there it is.
There it is.
The top of the screen.
So the top of the screen is black. So
that's right near the mic, so I hope you guys heard that.
I couldn't hear it. It's okay. I think your RTX was working there.
Yeah, anyway. Hold on. For the audience, I'll turn that back on just so they can hear the... Maybe?
Can't hear anything. Oh.
Boy, that's stellar, isn't it? Anyway...
we got a set, and that was it.
Oh, it just whatever. Anyway, this is like the top third of the screen. Nope, never mind. But it's busted. So anyway, the point is, it was only $30. Blue Game Gears go for anywhere from like $100 to $200 because people are fucking nuts. So I'm gonna get it fixed. Rachel was not happy I bought this. And she said, "You're going to look back on that in 5 years, and it's going to be the reason I dumped you." So, because it's broken, and I already have one. I've got 2 Game Gears now. Nobody needs 2 Game Gears. Nobody needs 6 Game Gears. But yeah, it's a weird. I mean, it was $30, and I stupidly posted in the Discord like, "What is going on? Why is this happening?" And I think I said something like, "I'll grab this maybe," and like 5 or 6 people were like, "Yes, buy it now. Get it. What are you doing? You can repair it. It's definitely worth the price," and all this crap. And I was just like, I was talked out of it, and I have these micros. I don't need this. And then we left, and we went to go pick up a to-go order. I'm gonna from Cheesecake Factory is who we decided to hit up this weekend. And then it's like 35-minute wait. I'm like, well, I could just go back anyway and go get that. And she was not happy about that, but I did it anyway. 'Cause I'm an idiot, and I'm gonna turn off the noise canceling thing now to really let the people hear how great this sounds, because it just needs to be captured for posterity. There you go, garbage stuff.
Nice. Love it.
So, yeah. I have another Game Gear again.
Hey,
Nice.
I'm with you. I would have bought that with the intention to repair it, or just because it's a blue Game Gear.
Well, and behind it, I took a picture, and there was a working black one behind it. Let me see if I can find that photo real quick, because I don't remember how much they wanted to. That one was being sold for $65, which is still not that bad. It's sad to say that, but just everything's going up, especially with quarantine and everything else. So, I got a blue and a red Game Gear now. What's wrong with me? Someone else talk.
Nick, I'll let you go next, actually.
Oh yeah. Just kind of playing off of the my pick of the week last week. The final episode of the season 2 of The Boys came out. Finished that. Solid recommendation. After having reached its conclusion, I'm excited with what they're doing. I'm hopeful that the production won't be halted too much by this quarantine, but we'll see.
Right.
There's a lot of series that got recent cancellations, like Glow on Netflix, which I was a big fan of.
Oh, I like Glow.
Yeah, it had its 4th and final season written and everything, but they got word that because based on the production schedule, they wouldn't have something out until 2021, 2022, and they made the decision to just cut it, which I think is crap, but
it's BS. God damn it.
Yeah.
Have you do either of you watch Superstore?
Never heard of it.
I've seen a few episodes. My roommates are really into it.
I mean, if you've worked in retail, it's a lot of fun. If you've not, I can understand no interest in it. But that they finished a season before quarantine, and now they have another one coming out. A new it ended on a cliffhanger, and they posted a thing on social media saying, "What do you think of our new uniforms?" And it's the whole staff with masks on. So I don't know how I feel about that. That they were filming a full show during quarantine and also trying to make it relevant to quarantine. And because it's like, how much do I want to support this? Because you're clearly going against like what should be regular guidelines right now to make this show possible.
There's this one series that keeps getting floated on Netflix or YouTube or wherever, where it is shot entirely on like Zoom or like pseudo Zoom.
I think I've seen something of it.
I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like if you want to do table reads of regular shows, fine. But it's like, I don't know if I want to watch a show now or even in the future when this is past, where people are just hanging out on Zoom. Like, is this something that I want to watch?
Oh,
I say that this podcast is that way, but by design though, because we're in different parts of the world. Yeah, so finish The Boys. The only other thing that I've been doing lately is playing more D&D. I'm Scotty knows this about me, but I'm a pretty avid D&D player, specifically playing Pathfinder. And I was thinking about it, and I would definitely recommend, if people have ever had any interest in playing D&D or playing Pathfinders, to try and see if there's folks around who you might be interested in trying it with, giving it a shot, because a lot of the resources are very available online or around, and everybody's got the time now, right?
Yeah.
And I think Pathfinder is more of like an entry point for a lot of people because, from what I understand, it's a lot more streamlined and slimmed down D&D essentially.
So there's differing opinions. Like 5th edition D&D is not that difficult to pick up. If you're like me and you've been playing since like early 3.0, then you will have your own difficult time trying to figure out the different skills and what have you. But I mean, just getting the time to look around and see your options and kind of escape your day to day by doing something else is nice. I've got a weekly game that I've been going, 2 weekly games actually. Shit, and they're always welcome.
Is it all online that you're playing them now, or what?
Yeah. So I've got a game going with some folks in the UK.
Oh, and big up.
Yeah. And that's great because they're all British and I'm the American, so I'm the one that sounds funny on that. That's fun, and it's recorded for a podcast, so that's fun. And then the other one is just me and my high school friends, and we're actually recording that one too, but that's not for public consumption. We're sending the episodes to a friend who's been deployed overseas.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, D&D. The only pickups that I had actually this last week, because I'm not trying to spend a whole lot of money, I say before I show off these silver coins.
Is that a queen?
Yeah. So this is a
found
British silver ounce.
I have no idea what that is. What?
Well, this is a Britannia 2014. It's some lady holding a British shield. 1 ounce of silver, and on the sides, there's little. Well, you're not going to see that.
Oh, sure, can't see that.
Nope.
Nope,
Maybe no. They're little horses. They're little horses on the side.
What if you put it in front of your hand like all those unboxing professionals do? Is that going to work at all?
So to describe for the audience, the audio listeners, Nick is currently holding up a shiny silver coin, which has the Queen's face on one side, like the Queen's head, on her side, like profile view, I guess it's called, and then on the other side, it's got a lady. Oh, it's very shiny. It's very hard to see, actually. Maybe you can, you can describe it a bit better, Nick. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lady holding a shield and a trident. I don't know if that's a British thing. Might be. Who knows?
Grant carries those around all the time.
Yeah. We're not allowed guns over here, but by George, we have a trident.
Yeah, so it's not just that one. I actually have 6 ounces of silver.
Oh, okay. So I've actually just Googled it. Okay, yeah. So she's kind of got like a Roman centurion helmet on the top of her head. By the looks of it.
Yes, she does.
And she's got a trident and what looks like a lion at her feet, and she's got a shield in one hand. And yeah, she's got a very flowing dress. It almost does actually look like she's kind of like a Roman kind of lady person. But that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before in my life. So
these are like silver coins minted by different governments. So like I actually have a US eagle as well. A kangaroo. Oh shit, that's not a kangaroo. This one's a kangaroo, which also has the queen on it.
Oh, okay. So that's from Australia, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a maple leaf.
From Canada?
Canada.
I guess.
This is Republic Ostrich. I don't know.
Austria, I guess.
Ostrich? Yeah.
Assume it has Schwarzenegger on it.
No, it has a Philharmonic.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then another British one. It's the same design.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I have a good friend who's really into collecting coins and silver. And I mean, during the pandemic, there's just a silver, what have you, panic increase in the value of it. So he's like, get these. Oh. And so I got them. I don't know if that's going to be worth it down the line, but I mean, they're neat. And if I ever get in a spot where I have to flee the US, then I have 200-ish US dollars worth of silver.
Oh, wow. I'll get you over the border.
So,
Don't worry.
yeah, perfect.
Man, imagine if that's the currency of the future. Ooh, Ready Player One, using Britannia coins.
Silver coins for lives and
Wow. Oh dear. So yeah, for me, to be honest, I haven't really done much this week. I'm actually late in editing all the videos for last week's show. I did put up the main podcast video, but the actual clips I normally do haven't gone up live yet. Hopefully they'll go up in the next couple of days, but my work has been so full on the last, couple of months really. It's just got even more intense, and it's just, I'm just very busy at this time because so I'm a content manager for a phone network company. And yeah, it's like, this is the busy time of the year. We've got Halloween coming up. We've got Black Friday coming up. We've got Christmas deals. We've got loads of other promotions. And I work on sort of promotions and stuff for a lot of what we do for selling phones and things like that. So yeah, manic time. So just to give an example, last year we had 12 promotions for the whole year. This is like where we'd sell like phones for cheap, or like Samsung, for example, release a new phone, but have free headphones with it or whatever. So last year we had 12 promotions. This year we've got 40 promotions. So it's nearly quadrupled. And I'm the only one doing these, by the way. So like there's like a designer guy, there's a person who helps sort of organize them and stuff. But I'm the one who writes the promotion copy for banners and stuff that goes on the website and other places. I also write the emails that go out to people like our members or customers, like to go, hey, we've got this great promotion now, come and get it. And also you just bought a new phone which got promotion, awesome sort of thing. So yeah, it's just manic, and that's just part of my job, and it's just been insane lately. So yeah, I haven't done anything basically. So I did get a pickup, which we're going to talk about later in the show, but for me, that's it. It's just work, so I can't really talk about anything else.
I'm happy the pandemic is helping your job. So
yeah, I guess that's one thing I'm happy about as well. It's I shouldn't be complaining because so many people are not in that position at the moment. So thank you, whoever we want to pray to at the moment. Yeah,
Weird.
So, but yeah, nothing of interest or import to talk about on the show. But with that, let's move on to.
Oh, I have a question for Nick.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting into collecting coins now? Is that the rope? Is that the slippery slope you're sliding down now, or what?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this was a lot for me to get. It's just something kind of to have. I originally just got the one, so they come in these little sleeves, and I just got the one British coin loose because I love England.
Yay!
Here on my desk, I have.
You're welcome anytime, buddy.
A £2 coin. I say I'm not collecting coins, and I pull up another coin.
Yeah, you didn't even show us that. Yeah.
What do you mean? I should have right here.
Did you? It's our okay. Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Nick is currently holding up a £2 coin sterling.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So I mean, I kept this on my desk because it's fun. And last time I went to England, I fulfilled my John Wick inspired dream of buying a drink for £2 with a single coin.
So, I thought you meant like killing a man with a pencil or something.
Yeah. That's also on the list, but understandably I have to put that later in my life.
That's so cool.
Or
man, if I can find one, maybe I could get you a £5 coin that were in circulation only briefly. But it's basically like a big gold coin that's worth £5. I don't know if they're still legal currency, but I think technically they are. But they just stopped making them, so it's like a limited time. But people just had them. I just remember going to shops and buying stuff with £5 coins.
I would need two, because then. So what I bought was just like an Alcopop, because that's what I can afford. Like, and I had to go somewhere where it was on special, right? But with a £5 coin, I could go and I could actually get like a whiskey.
Okay.
Just like in a movie.
I'll see what I can do. I can see if it's possible to slip it. Oh yeah. So right now Scotty is showing up his Knuckles coin thing from the Sega shop. Is that the one I sent across from sunny old England?
Yeah, it was only available in the frickin' UK for some reason, but it says it has Knuckles on the front, and it says 25th anniversary because it was for Knuckles when this was out. oh god, I cannot start collecting coins. That's a bad idea. But it has a nice box too, though. So I was really pumped when. Thank you for getting that for me, Graham.
You're welcome. I was very tempted to buy one myself because they weren't that expensive, really. Like it might be £5 or something. So not a big. I can't remember how much it cost actually now, Scotty. But yeah, I was like, ooh, maybe I'll get one. But then I thought that as well. I was like, I can't do this. If I do this, if the Sonic or Tails one comes out, I'm gonna have to buy that, and then So yeah, I went, nope. I will.
A lot of different sites and areas are doing their own coin now, and and there is also the armed forces thing where you, if you like whip out your coin, if they don't have theirs, then you have to hand them a drink and they have to chug it right there or something like that. And there's different things for different areas, I'm sure. But I learned that with my brother being in the Marines, and Chris Powell, he mentioned that that's something in the Air Force too. But that's an armed forces thing, I guess. You just show them like the coin challenge, I think it's called, or something.
Huh. Okay.
So, yeah.
Sounds like a friendlier version of the Wild West. You put out a gun or you put out a coin, and it's like, I'll have a drink now. Okay, rather than getting shot.
I'm scared to say this. I'm scared to say this, but I pitched the idea to a couple people on the Megavision staff of us doing a limited edition arcade Megavisions coin. So I'm going to throw that out into the ether. It's not happening, but if anyone's interested in that, give us some feedback and let us know if that would be a cool, it's obviously a fake arcade coin, but since arcades are going further and further away, it might be something neat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there's like a collector of Chuck E. Cheese tokens before they started going with the digital cards?
Oh, I guarantee there is.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is.
Wow.
Yeah. That was always a weird... I wish that I had kept arcade tokens, like just one of every one that I'd gone to, because I thought about... my brother was over in Japan, and he took me a picture of the Sega arcade for me, and I was like, oh my god, go in there and get me anything, like get me a token or something. But then later on, I'm like, they don't have tokens anymore. It's Japan. They got the cards for arcades probably in '95. You know.
Oh yeah.
So, sorry, I hijacked you. I'm the hijacker. That's just what I do. As I interrupt other people's discussions about me.
So yeah. Anyway, we don't have any feedback this week, do we?
No, we're perfect.
So okay, good. So we do not have that feedback of doom.
We changed the feedback form.
Oh yeah, feedback forum of doom. So instead, we are going to move straight on to Scotty Mo's mail sack of wonder.
Yeah, it's the mail sack. We got the mail sack. Beautiful mail sack. Oh nope, that's wrong. That's very wrong.
That's right. It's time for the mail sack. And here we go. At Rybones on Twitter says, the only question is, what's the point in it? And I'm a big fan of Sega. What he's talking about, as I mentioned, we were going to talk about the Game Gear Micros and other mini consoles. What's the point? For the fuck of it and an anniversary and to get people to spend money, I guess. What do you think, Graham?
I concur with all of those things, yeah. Because people might buy them and they can make some money. So, yeah.
It's just a fun thing to do. What do you think, Nick?
I think that there is the gimmick of nostalgia. I mean, and it is like only in Japan. Yep. And so there's a lot of fans of like the tiny kind of gimmick sort of things. So I imagine that the novelty factor is a lot higher in Japan than it is here in the US. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely easier ways to get to play these games. I'm pretty sure any smartphone can run these emulators. But
which we do not condone. But yes,
no,
there are other ways.
No, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, there's other legal ways you could do it as well. Like you can go out to Freak, for example, which does play the official games and stuff. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, what's the point? The point for Sega is making money. The point for us to get them is because we might be crazy enough to do it. But yeah.
Yeah. And then in the Discord, Mr. Haru asks, do you have a favorite bad movie or game that you know is bad, but you love it more than you should?
I think that's every opinion I've ever had of a game or movie on this show. I always choose the bad ones. Oh wow.
I was going to start by saying that one of mine is Sonic R, because I do actually enjoy that game, and I know that it is like functionally bad. Like, it's not a well-designed game. And I can't really think of another. Well, movies. I mean, where do you want to start? There's. What are you saying, Nick?
No. Well, before the Sonic R podcast of the Sega Addicts show that we did, that is one of the episodes that I remember listening back to because you really enthusiastically talked about Sonic R, and I like. Yeah, TJ was on. We were talking about the different songs and the gates and the difficulty with the understanding the design of it. No, but movies is like we had that brief run where we were doing watch-alongs. So like I thought of Mortal Kombat, where it's just a lot of fun. And that's the thing about bad movies is that it's a lot of fun to watch with folks. People usually. Do you have any like specific ones? I started to hijack yours.
Yeah, and it's my first impression of you actually, Johnny Mnemonic, because I quoted Johnny as my entrance to a podcast, and you're the only one that knew what that was from, and I'm like, what? I guess I gotta talk to this guy more. It's not that it's a bad movie, but it's definitely The Matrix before an adequate budget for what it wanted to do. Yeah. And that's always up there. And another one that not many people know of, which is another like thing I discovered on the Sci-Fi Channel accidentally one day, is the movie called Evolver, which has Ethan Embry in it. And we did a sideshow episode of it where it's a kid that wins this VR tournament, and so they place this robot that is like basically a Roomba set to kill, and he has army intelligence installed in him, so he ends up. It's actually a horror movie, horror, but yeah, I recommend Evolver to anyone that can find it. It's fun and dumb, and it's definitely both of those are better with other people. Nick, did you have some? Or Graham's pretty excited. Whoever wants to go next.
Yeah, let Graham go.
Okay, so I've got a couple. I do actually agree with you on Sonic R, because I think functionally that game is not great. And I guess visually, it's kind of one of those ones that, the hardware, looked fine on the hardware, but actually compared to other games, it wasn't great. But the music was so good. I really enjoyed that game. I loved going around trying to find all the hidden things and unlocking all the characters. So I had endless hours of fun with that game, but I do realize it's not the best racing game out there. However, so I'll start with my game first, because I do have a movie as well, but I am going to choose Virtual Hide-Lide. I never know how to pronounce this. Hide-Lide, I guess it's called.
Hide-Lide.
So there were a few Hide-Lide games before this. There was one on the Mega Drive called like Super Hide-Lide or something. I can't remember. But essentially, this is almost like a kind of Zelda, like 3D, like Ocarina of Time Zelda style game.
Can you describe the box art, please?
Okay, oh my god, the box art is so weird. This is obviously the PAL box art, so it's kind of okay. So up at the top, you can see some green, which is meant to be some trees, the tops of trees. Then you've got the logo saying Virtual Hide-Lide. Then there is the main bad guy. I can't remember his name in it.
Looks like he's from Gremlins, Disney's Gremlin, or what, like, Gargoyle. Sorry, Gargoyle.
He's like a giant gargoyle type thing person who's got like light shining out from behind him, but also from his eyes. Then you have like this sort of medieval knight person who's just bright glowing red with a sword that looks a bit tiny, like a lightsaber with some sort of sex toy attachment on top. I'm not sure. Okay. And then there's like a little weird, almost like an Ewok, also glowing kind of orangey red with red eyes.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, he has like a cloak on. I didn't even notice that at first. Yeah,
and then at the very bottom there's like a castle palacey kind of place. That's what that white thing is, basically.
Oh wow. They don't even have the hero on the cover. Like this is, It's just all the assholes coming at you.
It's all the bad guys. But yeah, so this is a 3D adventure / RPG style game that is I love it because I actually think for its time it actually did some things that were really advanced and really cool. So the world is it's randomly generated world, but the way they did it's not just like they've got 50 worlds that randomly get generated. This has got like something like it's got over like 1 million random generations it could possibly, or variations it could have. And so the world and where the dungeons are all in different places. And while you do the dungeons in the same order, the actual dungeons inside are also randomly generated each time you play, and the weapons and placements of weapons and stuff are always in different places as well. So you can have one version of the game where you might pick up a really powerful weapon at the start, or an item that really helps you defeat a bad guy and stuff. So each time you play it, it's actually a little bit different. The game is quite jerky though. The frame rate is pretty terrible. The visuals are not that great. They've tried to use, it's going to be hard to show on the back of the box, but my webcam's not high enough quality, I guess, but they try to use, I guess, like, what's it called? Like, like with Mortal Kombat, they have real actors, but they kind of digitize. So they've got like a digitized actor. Actor is like the main character, and you only ever see him from behind. He's like the most generically bland person in the world. He's wearing like a brown knapsack thing over him, and like brown hair. Yeah, Johnny Adventure, brother of Johnny Mnemonic. He it's like really generic. And because a camera's always directly behind him, sometimes trying to hit some enemies is really awkward because you're swinging your sword and it's kind of, you can't quite see where you're hitting, and just the visuals in general are a bit ropey. However, as I say, I do love it because when you're walking around like the overworld, for example, you see trees and stuff coming towards you. You can see like there's like a river or a lake and stuff. The weapon, when you pick up weapon, there's tons of weapons in this game, and you can see them all, the like different, and like the shields you hold are different and stuff. Is like you get spells later on, so it's kind of like a proper good. Well, no, I don't say good. It's like a proper like 3D action adventure RPG, like Zelda Ocarina of Time or Morrowind or something like that before its time. And also, you can become over encumbered. So if you have too many weapons, you can't walk anymore, basically. But it's also got some genuinely terrifying monsters in it. Like there's a bit when you're walking through like a forest, almost like a wooded area with trees, and suddenly some of the trees just come to life and start chasing you. But they don't just like stop chasing you after you walk out of an area. They will follow you across the whole map of the world, basically. So you can run away and like go, whoo, and sort of rest for a bit and like look around, try and work out what you're doing. And then you turn around, this tree is like walking towards you still, with like this massive teeth going, and it genuinely scared me. The first time I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it's terrible, but I really like it. I've completed it like 3 or 4 times in my life. So yeah, we did actually do we did a review or something in like one of the main issues.
Issue number 8, ladies and gentlemen. Graham, for the section of What Did I Just Play?
What did I just play? Yeah, that's it.
And it sounds, maybe it's your writing, Graham, but the game like genuinely sounds intriguing to me. But it sounds like if they tried to make Elder Scrolls on a PS1, you know.
Yeah,
that is basically what it's like. To me, this is like an early Elder Scrolls game, effectively. But yeah, it's bad, but I love it, really. And the movie, I don't know if I should say the movie. I will get judged. I always get judged on this one.
Of that game, and I was like, what?
Right. No, sorry. The movie I was going to choose is, I'm going to say it, screw it, Star Wars Episode 1. I know it's not the best Star Wars movie. It's not the best sci-fi movie ever. I actually enjoy it. I think it's fine. I think Jar Jar Binks is really annoying. Anakin's a bit annoying at times, but I enjoyed the lightsaber battles. I generally enjoyed the plot. I thought the story was fine. I like the pod racing bit. I think the music is fantastic. And I preferred it way over all the recent Star Wars. I just, like, other than like, what's it called? Rogue One. And yeah, the sort of side ones, the 3, Return of, what's it called? I can't even remember what they're called now.
Rise of Skywalker
and those ones. Did not enjoy those at all. I thought these are just not very good movies, and I enjoyed Episode 1 way over those ones. So yeah, I know it's not a perfect movie, but I have fun with it. So yeah.
I actually have a very good friend, one of my high school friends, who's super loves the Phantom Menace. He's got like the Monopoly Phantom Menace, and he's got he loves that, and he will defend it to death.
I get to chat to this guy because
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like in the cinema, where the first time you see Darth Maul like standing there, like with his lightsaber to one side, and suddenly it comes out both ends. Because I hadn't seen the trailers for it, so when that happened, I was like, like that was a genuine moment for me. Like, oh my God, that's awesome! Wow! And then the music and the fighting was so cool at that bit. And I was like, this is brilliant. Like, come on.
Duel of the Fates is one of those iconic Star Wars songs, despite only being in first appearing in Episode 1 as opposed to the classic ones. So I think, yeah, there are bits of Episode 1 that are good. I give him shit for it. I insist that it's terrible, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. People say it's worse than it really is. Like, I'm not saying it's the best movie ever, but I think some people just go, "Oh my god, it's terrible," even though, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. Come on, guys, there are way worse movies out there.
Yeah,
but sorry, Nick.
I just want to mention, based on Episode 1 real quick before I forget, I equate the reaction to that very similarly to the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, because I loved that in the theater, and I'm not joking. When Optimus Prime first says, "I'm Optimus Prime," in the theater, I went, woo! Like, because I was as a big Transformers fan, I was just so excited to hear, I can't remember the actor's name now, and that's horrible, him say that line. And it was a genuinely fun film. In retrospect, they only got worse, I will tell you that. But in retrospect, I don't think that one as a movie standalone is as bad as people say. Okay. I think people just say the Michael Bay Transformers are bad. They don't necessarily say which movie is the worst, or maybe they do. Yeah. So if you dove deep enough on the internet, you could find it. But
I think I enjoyed the third one, which I think still had Shia LaBeouf in it, but didn't have Megan Fox in or something. I remember actually watching that and going, "I'm enjoying this movie. I quite enjoyed that." So
I started to check out when there were Transformers testicles.
Yeah, Transformers too.
Remember that scene in the second one?
I do remember it, yeah.
Where they decided to just do, oh shit, what was his name made by the Constructicons again? They just brought him back.
I remember. Yeah.
Devastator. Devastator was back, and he had balls. So, and
I don't remember this.
Like, I want to like this movie. What's happening now, though?
Wow.
I can understand your point on that, though, Graham. The Episode 1 thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Safe space. I like it. Yeah. But, Nick, what about you? Any movies or games that really?
Oh, yeah, tons. I mean, we talked last week about my love for Sonic Shuffle, which is entirely unironic. Like, I do, and it's probably nostalgia. At least, no, it's not, because we played it at the marathon, and I was sitting there having a good time, and like physically, people were like, "Ooh, fuck you."
I think that's like people were physically being sick in the corner, like, just terrible game.
Close. I mean, it was one of the early on entries, so they just, everybody suffered, and they were like, "Let's get this shit over with." But like my whole thing is liking kind of weird and niche bad games. I have this theory that I think that I like movies and games that there's clearly a lot of passion that went in, even if the end product is bad. And the one that I go back to is Swery 65, who made Deadly Premonition, which is a weakness of mine, as well as one of my favorite games, D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, which is a game that I play on an annual basis.
Oh, wow.
Fun fact: you can, I can and have made a full playthrough of that game as Scotty.
Oh,
yeah, I dress the character up in a rock T-shirt, and he has your hair and facial hair and the glasses, and I just go around as you.
Yeah, this was back when I had disheveled hair, still these glasses, no facial hair, but I looked like every anime character.
Yeah.
Is this some sort of identity theft? Casual identity theft you're doing?
I'll hand it over. You can have
it. Perfect. Yeah. So
Nick would let's point out that Nick's just a crazy fan of me. He would put his friends and stuff into games. He wasn't just like, what game can I play as Scotty today? Yeah. You know?
if I found the option to make a character look like a friend of mine, I would do it. And that was my favorite thing to do. I was doing Nuzlocke before Nuzlocke was a common thing. And I would name Pokemon after my friends. And then, when they died, I wouldn't use them anymore. I wouldn't revive them. They would just be like, my friend died. So, but yeah, as far as bad game, D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die is like it's like a weird visual game. So you play as this detective who has the ability to dive into the past and like go around crime scenes and stuff. And he's really mainly trying to focus on this murder investigation related to his wife's death.
The only
But
crime he
it's-
can't solve.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing that's what it is.
No, it's that exactly. It's so stupid. But
Never played it.
It was made for the Kinect, so like there's a lot of motion control.
Oh.
So like you go through and like you have to like put your hand out. Obviously not on the Windows version, but you would put your hand out to like walk around, and then you could interact and like slap different things in the world. And there was like the dumbest achievements, so you could like win points for every time you slapped something. So whenever I play through, like it's always like trying to see what I can slap that I didn't slap before, and so I just like tap on it over and over, or with the Kinect you just like over and over, and the characters would react. You can dress up all the characters in different costumes.
Oh, that's right.
And so like normal circumstances, you're just a dude like in a like suit, and you've got a detective friend, and then this lady who's like a cat, but you can dress them up as different characters. The dialogue is really cheesy. All of the characters are over the top. There's like a fashion designer and a lady who's got like OCD and neuroses. It's super crazy and super weird, and by all accounts, it's like not fun to play. But I really liked it. I liked the passion. It's clearly something that Swery wanted to make and was passionate about. And like when you learn about him, you kind of see influences. So Swery has type 1 diabetes, so he's eating constantly. He has to be. And the character in this game, you have an energy meter. So like every time you take a few steps, you lose a bit of energy. So your characters also has to be eating constantly. And until you get enough points, that's one of the kind of gameplay segments is you need to go and find food. And so you can just like roam around this crime scene and you find a packet of peanuts and you just eat the peanuts. And then you talk to the thing. Once you get enough points, you can talk to vendors and they can sell you food, and you can occasionally take breaks and go eat food with your detective buddy who will like make this massive like food pile for you. So yeah, like all the games that I like are weird and usually occasionally bad. And the same for movies too. So like Mortal Kombat comes to mind. And then the obvious bad movies like The Room. It's just a lot of fun to just kind of sit and poke fun at.
I still need to watch that.
The Room?
Yeah, I've seen the movie with James Franco in about making
The Disaster Artist.
Yeah,
Disaster
Artist. Yeah, but yeah, so that's kind of the first real experience I had of it. So I'm like, because they show clips at the end just showing some of the scenes that they did in the movie with James Franco,
1-to-1,
like identical, and I'm like, I have to see this movie now. Just
yeah. We should arrange because I have a copy of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Same as Birdemic. Have either of you heard of or seen Birdemic?
I'm very familiar with it, but I've not seen it.
Birdemic is like inspired by The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
And it's so terribly made. Like it's aggressively funny how bad it is. This guy like going around shooting film like with no professional equipment, and he's just got the most ridiculous premise where there's this main guy who works at a tech startup, and he starts casually dating this girl who like gets her photos done at like a Kinko's or like one of those 1-hour photo shoots, and then her agent calls and she's like, yeah, so you're gonna be the next Victoria's Secret cover girl, and she's like, oh my god. And then the birds attack, and with just some of the worst CGI ever, and
Good.
it's so funny. It's oh my god. It's just really funny when you see somebody really trying hard and they make something like aggressively bad, and you don't understand how they thought this was okay, but they did, and they made it.
Yep.
So it's just fun. Like that's what it comes back to.
I think Graham, I think you would enjoy anything Swery has made. I think that based on your opinions of stuff, and to give you an idea of his direction, so to speak, before the second part of Twin Peaks came out on Showtime, everyone was saying like, dude, because there was all kinds of drama with Lynch not wanting to do it and stuff like that, and Lynch backed out, and then he came back and he backed out and whatever. People were saying like, forget Lynch, get Swery to make the next Twin Peaks, because Deadly Premonition is literally Twin Peaks, and clearly he is a fan of it, and you can see that in all of his games, just the awkward mannerisms, and it's all amazing. It's all amazingly weird and not shoved in your face as much as the second part of Twin Peaks is. What's that, Nick?
Did Graham, do you not know Deadly Premonition?
I know Deadly Premonition. I've just never played it. And I know the D4 Dreams Don't Die. I've actually got that. I think I've got a Game Pass, but I've never actually played it.
Yeah, I feel like it was free for 360 or something at one point.
Because it was one of those ones really pushing Connect, so they made it free. So
I've got Connect. I can play that.
Yeah, there's moments in Deadly Premonition where like a character will walk on screen, like make a face at the camera, like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be here," and then walk off screen. And there's like no reason, like other than the fact that it might be aping style from David Lynch's shots, where like that could have happened in the background. It's so funny.
I almost want to ask if you still have your VODs of playing through that game, Nick, but then I remember when you were driving around, you could not stop the car horn from honking, so it was just
that game, like, and that's the other thing with sweary games, is that they're usually a technical mess. So like the version of Deadly Premonition that I have is on PC, and anytime I'd get into the car, it would constantly honk the horn to the point where it was impossible, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I still couldn't figure out what it was. So it's just honking constantly. I can't get it to stop. So
yeah. Boy, that's a good question though, and a bunch of good answers. Did you have something else, Graham? Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that's probably enlighten the audience more to the people on the show at the moment. Yeah. But,
no doubt. So,
good question.
Yeah, good questions this week though. That's all we got in the sack. So we're going to close it up. So that's going to do it for the mail sack.
And now we're moving on to our picks of the week. So this is where we talk about the things we've been doing, like playing, movies we've been watching, board games, books, whatever. So Nick, my friend, what is your pick of the week?
So my pick of the week might be a little bit familiar to Scotty. It's Payday. No. No, I didn't. The joke is just for you. No, it's not Payday 2.
Just for the audio listeners, Nick just held up a screenshot of Payday 2.
I thought he was going to be like, now the mobile version is fucking great, guys.
No, my pick of the week is actually piggybacking off of my discussion from the question. I like weird games. The pick that I have is a game called Disco Elysium, which is an isometric, literal role-playing game. It's definitely not traditional. It won in 2019 some awards for Best Narrative, Visual Art, Independent Game, Role-Playing Game. You play as a cop, a detective who's investigating a murder, and all of the game's interactions are based on some dice rolls and stats. And they're not like traditional stats. They're stats like they're all mental stats. And your character is basically a piece of shit. Like, to give premise, you wake up from a drunken stupor and you're like trying to figure out what happened. And so your stats include like inner narration, your ability to piece things together, your ability to be charming, and your just general mental fortitude. And there's no traditional combat in the game. You do all these little dice rolls and interactions, and like just interacting with the world has the potential of hurting you. So for example, you could play your cop as somebody who's book smart but like very mentally and emotionally fragile. So like when you talk to people, sometimes people will be like, why are you such a piece of shit? Like, why do you suck so much? And like then you'll do a little roll, and if that hurts your feelings too much, you'll take damage, like emotional damage.
Okay.
And so it's really funny because there's like I said, there's no traditional combat. You have to go around and try and find clues, and those clues are dependent. Whether you or not you find these clues out is dependent on your stats. And sometimes, like, you might play a cop who's like an alcoholic. So, like, in order to function remotely, you need to be having him consume alcohol, because then he gets stat buffs to take more physical and emotional damage. And it actually increases his ability to make rolls. And all of these, so there's like 3 main stats. There's intellect, psyche, 4. Intellect, psyche, physique, and motoristics. But then each of those stats has 6 substats. So you might be, for example, book smart, but like not know very much about electrochemistry, which is pretty much your familiarity with drugs and your ability to consume them. Or you could be smart, but only in the field of electrochemistry, which allows you to understand the aspects of consumption and all of that. All of that sounds really complicated, but I'm gonna close it by like telling this story of, and it's a clip on my Twitch channel. The time I got so sad that I died. And so I got to the murder scene where there's the body hanging, and the in the garbage beneath the body, like I had my character search around, and my partner at the time was like, "Hey, what is that?" And I pick it up, and it's like my case notes. And he's like, "Dude, why did you let your case notes be in the garbage?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it." And I took a little bit of emotional damage there. And so I'm inspecting my case notes. I spent on stream like a good 30 minutes reading aloud these case notes, like about old cases, files, what I know about this case. So I learned a lot. And then like there's a perception roll, and it's like, hey, you hear a rattling around in your case file. What is that? And you open up a secret compartment, and inside there's some medicine, a pen, and a photo. And I took all of it, and it's like, do you want to look at the photo? I look at the photo, and there's like a note on it, and it's like a note from like, I can't tell who it was from, because like as I'm reading it, it seems like it's from like my wife or my girlfriend, and she's talking about how much she loves you and how she's proud of you, and she knows that you're such a good guy, and you're all these things. And as I finish reading the note, like your inner monologue's like, I have to stop reading this. It's making me too sad. And he got so sad that I took another point of emotional damage, and my character literally just fell over. And I was like, what happened? And then it restarts me. And I was like, oh my God, I got so sad that I died.
Oh,
wow.
God. Wow, that's something else. That's pretty heavy.
More of the story, don't go back and read your old live journal entries.
Yeah, exactly. Disco Elysium is available on all platforms. It's coming out to console this year sometime, but it's on both Steam and Apple OS, iOS. So if any of that interests you, definitely give it a check out. It's a story-heavy game. I think it would work really well on the Nintendo Switch, where it's kind of portable and you could just kind of pick it up and put it down. So that's me.
A quick comment on that, I guess. How you use alcohol to essentially keep yourself baseline or whatever. That reminded me of Condemned 2 Bloodshot on PS3 and 360.
Yeah.
The first game, you're an FBI agent. Well, both games, first game, you're an FBI agent, and then the second game, you have hit rock bottom after this case, and so you're essentially homeless, but you actually consume alcohol in the game to steady your vision and sometimes your use of weapons and stuff. So that's, I've never heard of any other game doing something like that. Normally you have drinking to like blur your vision, but that's like the 2 games I've heard that would do that.
I really do not remember that on Condemned 2. I love Condemned 2.
Yeah.
I played it and reviewed it and finised it and everything. I can't remember that being a thing. So maybe it's something necessary. I just can't remember it. Misremembering maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, both those games introduced a lot of cool ideas that they did not fully flesh out. So that's probably why you don't remember it.
I thought Condemned 2 was an amazing game, though. I love that game so much. So
I really like that one too. But that sounds interesting. I don't know that that'd be up my alley. I think, honestly, for me, I think it would be more interesting for me to watch someone play it that's very engaged in it than actually try it myself, because I just can't get into
Definitely
genres like that. But
yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So
yeah, Nick, if you're streaming it a little bit more, then let everybody know and we can check it out. Yeah, sounds good. Cool. So I'll go next. My one this week is a little bit different. I've never done one of these before. I am doing a book, but I don't actually have the physical version of the book. I have it on Kindle. I've just actually brought up a screenshot on my phone. It is Mogworld. Okay. So Mogworld by Yahtzee Crosshaw. So some people might know Yahtzee. He is the guy who does the zero punctuation videos over at The Escapist, theescapistmagazine.com. So if you don't know Zero Punctuation, he does these these little video reviews with his own little cartoon animated characters, and he talks very quickly, very fast. He's got a British accent. He talks like a bit like this with zero punctuation, so he's very fast, very quickly.
Oh, his is heavier than yours, though.
So say that again?
I was saying his accent is heavier than yours, and it might just be because he's talking faster, though. In my opinion,
yeah. So yeah, he's known for being quite sarcastic and satirical, and quite humorous. But he's written some books, and this book actually came out 12 years ago now. It came out in 2008, and I don't want to give too much of the plot away. But if I show you the front cover of the book again, you sort of give you an idea of stuff. So the front cover,
I thought that was a Magic the Gathering annual.
Yeah, so the front cover, it shows basically a skeleton kind of undead person with tattered robes, and what's there? Oh, there's a little rabbit at the bottom corner. So yeah, which if you read the book, that will make sense to you. But essentially, without giving too much of the main overarching plot or giving any spoilers away, the story is essentially about a guy who's a wizard in training. He's called Jim. And at the very start of the book, an army is attacking his magic college and he dies. And then sometime later, I think it's about 50 years later, he's suddenly brought back to life by a necromancer, and he becomes part of this necromancer's undead army, effectively. So he's an undead minion, basically, to a powerful necromancer. But during his time since he died, the world has changed, and now people can't die anymore. So living humans, like if I was to walk up to you, Scotty, and kill you, your body would die, but your soul would escape and you go away, and basically you'd be regenerated in a new body. So you'll be back alive again, effectively. But while people aren't dying, no one's being born as well.
Can I be a dog?
You cannot change into a dog, unfortunately. You basically come back
I reject this reality and continue my own. Thank you.
Oh, love it. That's a Mythbusters quote, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think in Mythbusters, one of them wears a T-shirt that says that all the time or something. I can't remember. Yeah, anyway.
That's the second time in my life that's happened. I apparently quoted Star Trek at one point, and I've never seen anything Star Trek.
Brilliant. But yeah, so essentially, living people can't die anymore, but it also means that the like Jim and the other undead, like basically this necromancer raises hundreds of undead minions to do his bidding and like try and take over the world, and they can't die again either. So basically, Jim's favorite time of life was when he was dead. Like, so when he was dead, he was happy, he was peaceful. There was nothing bothering him. He's a very grumpy kind of sarcastic kind of person. And so his goal in his new undead life is to try and die, but he still can't die. The difference between the undead people, though, and living people is that if he dies, his soul leaves his body for a bit, but then it comes back into his body. So the more damage his undead body gets, like basically it just stays damaged. It doesn't repair itself or anything. He can't get a new body or anything like that. So there's the difference, basically, that these undead people who've been brought back to life, they still can't die as well. Whatever's affecting the rest of the world affects them, but in a slightly different way. And so, yeah, his ultimate goal of the book is to try and find a way to die, but also understand what's happened to the world in the last 50 years that has made the world so you can't die anymore, basically. So that's kind of the general beginning of the story. That's literally in like the first few pages you find all this information out. So like within the first chapter. So yeah, and I thought it was really good, very entertaining story. I have a book club at work, sci-fi book club, which I help run, and that was the book that was chosen most recently. And we all enjoyed it. We thought it was great. It's a very funny book, very enjoyable story. The characters in it are really funny. There's a lot of creative characters. So Jim, the main protagonist, is basically a dick. And you can kind of see his point of view, though, because he was happy dead, basically. And like now he's been brought back to life. And there's some really annoying characters around him who I think in some books or TV shows would be very annoying. But yeah, he in this book, those characters actually play off him quite well because of the character that he is. So yeah, I think definitely get a chance to read it if you can. And yeah, so Mogworld by Yahtzee Crosshaw.
Yeah. I know that he's really inspired by Douglas Adams, Yahtzee. So I'm a big fan of Douglas Adams as well. So I would be looking forward to checking that out. I might give it a shot. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Yeah, and I think most gamers and I guess I'm going to use the phrase nerd or geek or whatever. I think most people get a kick out of this book because
most losers will love this.
We're awesome. We're all awesome people. But yeah, I think it's aimed at that sort of target audience, and there's this fun paradox between some of the conversations people have and the kind of fantasy world they're in, which is just brilliant, and you don't normally get in fantasy books. So yeah. Cool.
You said the main character's name is Jim and he's a necromancer?
No, so he is a wizard. He was at this like mage college, basically it's wizard school. He is resurrected by a necromancer though. So he's like a really bad wizard. He's done like the first year of wizardry, so he can basically make a fireball and do something else. Like I think he could put out small fires on plants by like spraying a little bit of water, but that's about it. He knows no real magic, and so he's brought back.
But yeah.
Yeah, he can still do some of his magic, but he's just not very good. So it's just kind of the situations you get into is just pretty funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
That sounds interesting. I didn't know that Yahtzee wrote any books, so I'm sure he's one of the better reviewers out there on the internet, in my opinion. So he's probably. I would imagine he's a decent writer too.
I've always enjoyed his reviews, and yeah, it turns out he's actually on a few books, like 5 or 6 books, I think, over the last 10 years or so. So there's a few out there, and I'd be interested to read some more. It's pretty decent.
Cool.
Yeah. So Scotty, what is your pick of the week? What is your pick of the week?
My pick of the week, we've mentioned it countless times before. We had a sideshow episode dedicated to it. The 1987 movie The Monster Squad, which is a great film. Unfortunately, it was a victim of circumstance. It released a couple years after The Goonies, so everybody thought it was just a Goonies ripoff. The two movies are not comparable at all, because Goonies is fun. It has, the theme song behind it.
Fun.
Goonies is fun. Everybody can relate to their neighborhood getting turned into a golf course. But behind Goonies had the cast and Spielberg behind it. Unfortunately, Monster Squad doesn't have a lot of that, but it does have. I'm really bad at names, but it does have some people that have done other stuff within the industry. And it is essentially a group of kids trying to stop the universal monsters from gathering and taking over the world. I no joke, that's the plot. But people have probably heard this quote and not known what it's from. Wolfman's Got Nards came out of this movie.
Okay.
And which is actually also the name of the documentary for it. But it is, it's this and another movie kicked off the month of Halloween movies for me and Rachel. I think she introduced me to it, but I think it is genuinely my favorite Halloween movie because it's on the line. I would group it in with like Ernest Scared Stupid and stuff like that, like Hocus Pocus even. But the kids swear a lot in this movie. And I will preface this with, if you go to check it out now, some terms have not aged well because they do drop an F-bomb, and I'm not talking about F-U-C-K, but if you go back and watch the first Bill and Ted, it's in that movie a couple of times, so the 80s, I guess, whatever. That in mind, it has a PG-13 rating. if Chris was on this week, he would mention that this is what got his son Odin, his youngest son, into the Universal monster movies. So it's a cool. There's definitely swearing that you have to be, if you want to introduce your kids to Halloween movies, you've got to like make sure they know that they should not use a lot of the terms in this film. But and I think that's unfortunately why it wasn't as popular as it could have been, because if they had just censored it a little bit in some areas, I think it could have been a family film rather than a PG-13. Like, it's a fun, goofy 80s thing, and it is another one of those things where it's another movie that shows off a treehouse that a kid has that there's no way the child could create this thing or build this thing, but it's a clubhouse you would want to be part of, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it's fun, and it. Unfortunately, there's no big names in it. I think the only like recognizable actor is one of the bullies that is the older brother in The Wonder Years. I'm so bad at names. I should really look up this shit. But
yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb list now, and I don't recognize a single name of this. And I'm generally okay with actors' names, but Andre Gower, who's like the main guy, I looking recognize him at all. So
he hasn't really done much else. If anyone's into documentaries, the recently released In Search of Darkness, which is a 4-hour documentary on literally the full decade of the 80s of horror movies, they mentioned this one in there, and they have him in there talking about it, and he talks about how it really didn't do well because it wasn't sure of who to target in terms of the audience, whether it was. Yeah. I feel like it's unfortunate because it's definitely something that, like, if this movie was out when I was like 12, I probably would have loved it. Or if I had seen it younger, but I think if I had watched it in high school, I would have been like, I'm too cool for this because it stars children, but it's not like nostalgia heavy. But it's really good. It's really fun. It's a lighthearted thing, and I think it's a good way to kick off Halloween month of movies if you don't want something slashery or thrillery or something like that. Yep. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find it. I finally, I've probably only known of this film for about 3 years, but realizing it was on Netflix or something, we finally bit the bullet and just grabbed it through Best Buy's site and got the Blu-ray. There are no bonus features on it. It's literally the movie and the chapters, which is a damn shame, especially for a Blu-ray copy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Monster Squad is a lot of fun. I can't recommend it enough. If you like things like Goonies and Ernest Scared Stupid, Hocus Pocus, stuff like that.
Cool. So I have a feeling...
Either you guys seen it? Oh, sorry.
I was about to say, I have a feeling I've seen this movie when I was younger, but I'm not entirely sure. So I need to ask a question. Is there a scene...
Sure.
Well, as a couple of things. Do they have to go under their bed into the monster world or something? Is that how they get there? And is there a scene where they have to pick up batteries to put into their torches and the lights on the torches hurt the monsters?
Are you thinking of Gremlins?
No. Okay, so I haven't seen Monster Squad then. There's another movie that sounds very similar, that basically the monsters from the underground world are trying to take over a town in America or the whole world, I'm not sure. And only the kids seem to know about it, and they have to go under their bed to get into the world, and it turns out the monsters are afraid of light, and they discover this, and there's a scene where they're like going through drawers and opening cupboards and putting out batteries and like loading a gun. They're like an action movie. They're like shoving these batteries into their torches, like zapping the torches in like the monsters' faces and stuff.
No idea what that is.
Okay, so I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what Monster Squad is.
Yeah, for a second I thought you were talking about the Disney movie Don't Look Under the Bed, or it's called something like that.
It might be that. I don't know.
They do literally go under the bed into an alternate monster world.
It could be that. They
don't like lock and load their batteries, though. There's none of that.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know what you're thinking of, but the Monster Squad is a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
No, the Monster Squad, they literally fight the Universal monsters, like Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Gilman, Creature in the Black Lagoon, Wolfman. You know.
Okay, yeah, I need to watch it. I know of Monster Squad. I know it's a thing. I've just clearly never watched it. I thought I had, based on what I just said, but apparently I've been describing the wrong movie.
That's okay. Check it out, though. Monster Squad, somehow.
Yeah. Nick, have you seen Monster Squad, or do you have any opinions on it? Okay.
No. but I might give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I might see if it's available over here, like on Amazon or something. If I can.
It's only like an hour and a half long, if even that. I forget.
Yeah, cool.
So it's just a darn shame it got compared to Goonies so much that nobody gave it a chance. But it's really, I'm not going to sit here and say it's better than Goonies, because that would be like saying like Ready Player One is better than James Bond. Like they're not the same thing at all.
Right.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, I can understand. It's one of those because it's got young kids in it going on an adventure. Goonies.
Yeah, literally just kids in the 80s swearing at grown-ups. That's somehow how it's like the Goonies. You know?
You'll be able to find that on Netflix because you liked kids in the 80s swearing at grown-ups.
Right, yeah. Because you hate big corporate America. Here's that's my pick, though.
That's brilliant.
Nice.
Well, some good picks there. And for the audience at home, if you watch any of our stuff or play any of our stuff or read any of the stuff that we talk about, let us know, because we'd love to hear your opinions on it as well. Do you think it's a good pick? And just to be clear, we're not saying these are the best things in the world, but we're enjoying them. We think they're fun, and especially in this whole lockdown world, why not give it a try? What's the worst thing that can happen? So yeah, brilliant. So we'll move on from that, and we'll actually move into our feature discussion this week. Let's call it Of Micro and Men. And so essentially, with the release of the Game Gear Micro in Japan, which was on October the 6th, 2020, we're going to be looking at the Game Gear Micro and also discussing a little bit about the world of, I guess, micro consoles. So just to be clear, the Sega has released the Game Gear Micro in aid of their 60th anniversary. So Sega has been around for 60 whopping years, but also it is the 30th anniversary of the Game Gear. So that's pretty incredible to think. I remember when the Game Gear came out, and my God, that's crazy. So yeah, both Scotty and I have the Game Gear Micros. We pre-ordered them several episodes ago, actually, on the show. We were live on the show. We basically, I pre-ordered mine from Amazon Japan, and effectively that's one of the main ways you can really get it. And so we'll have a quick discussion about what we think of them, talk a bit about them, show them off a little bit to the camera. So I've got my ones in front of me. And yeah, Nick, I know you don't have one, but maybe you can ask some questions or chip in, and we'll have a look at this. And then we'll get discussing more about the micro console world in general. So Scotty, I'm going to let you start on this. You've got the Game Gear Micros. You got them the other day. They all came through. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts and feelings on this?
So as soon as I opened them up, I prefaced that I forgot that I bought these a while ago, and then I realized it when I got an alert from Amazon Japan, and then I was like, shit, I need to tell the love of my life that I just spent $200 inspired by Chris Powell's Pure Pressure and alcohol, and I stupidly told her, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know this package is coming. Also, because I wasn't sure if it needed to be signed for, so I wanted to give her a heads up, and I'm like, I got those Game Gear Micros. It was $200 for the 4 of them. But you're going to say, oh, and here she comes delivering something else I needed. Thank you, darling.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, Rach.
They say hi. Hi. That's not for something else, or another part of this. So I opened them up, and I told her, I was like, you're going to think these are dumb, but then you're going to look at them and be like, oh, how cute. Maybe it wasn't that dumb of a purchase. Opened up the boxes, got one out of the box, like unboxed it, and I was like, I immediately regret this purchase because I'll show you why. I forgot to get a Happy Meal toy. So, I don't remember. Rachel actually grabbed this. So for those listening, I have one of the dumb Sonic electronic handheld things that McDonald's handed out at one point. I don't think you had this in the UK, did you, Graham? Like these. There was like this one, someone playing soccer. It's Shadow playing hockey against.
No, we had something else a little while ago, because I've actually got one. I can't find it though. I was going to do it in my video for the Game Gear Micro, but it's like a little tiny Tails one basically.
Yeah,
that I had. But
so I'm putting up next to this. The plastic of this Happy Meal toy feels more durable than the fucking Game Gear Micro.
Wow, okay.
And it's like thicker plastic, probably because there's also less electronics in this to worry about the shell invading the space of the board in the Game Gear Micro. And I think like it just feels light. And when I was putting together the micro camera, the big window thing, I honestly thought I was going to break it.
Yeah.
I was very scared because it's a couple of latches that go on the top. It's 3 parts, and I don't even want to try to take it apart because I'm afraid I'm going to break the hinges. And then that slaps onto there and all that fun stuff. And you can check out Graham's unboxing. I did a parody unboxing. We can mention that later. But when I opened this up, I was just like, fuck me. This was not worth $200, which comes out to $50 per handheld. And the real kicker is like it still it doesn't require, but it can take AAA batteries, or you can plug in a micro USB into the top. I can't get the case back on. So small, and the screen is so small, and it's the size of the VMU, and that also made me think, like, I like the rubbery buttons on the VMU. I'm holding up the visual memory unit for the Dreamcast. I prefer them over the plastic. Yeah. And the last thing I'll say real quick, I was playing I thought I'd give it a decent shot, and I was sitting down, I was laying in bed last night playing some of these, prep for the episode, honestly, and I'm like trying to hold this thing while I'm laying down, and just look at my hands look like a face hugger from Aliens right now with the way I have to hold this thing. But if you hold up a VMU, this is more comfortable because you have your fingers somewhere to go. And I equated that to like the Dreamcast controller almost, because the Dreamcast are almost pinching when you hold it. This one, I had to like find a way to hold this and properly frame it with my fingers, and I couldn't really comfortably do that. And I had earbuds in it because Rachel's trying to read a book while I'm playing this, and I had the big window on it, and I just look over at her. I'm like, honey, how stupid do I look right now? Because I'm laying in bed like this with like earbuds. This thing probably 3 inches from my face, and I probably look like I've got to call the president or something, the way I'm like intently trying to play this thing. And apparently, I do not remember this. I fell asleep while I was playing it. And like when I fall asleep, I kind of scare myself awake sometimes, and I just get intense, I guess, because Rachel, you know how when you jump in bed when you're asleep and you wake yourself. Apparently, this is exactly what happened. Like I'm like falling asleep, and Rachel looks over, and I just go like this, and I like start to press the button. And I looked over her. I do not remember saying this, and she didn't say anything to me, but I just looked over. I'm like, sorry, I was dozing.
Oh my god! Wow,
that's my review of the micros. I don't know.
That's so good. Yeah, so I actually did an unboxing and review, not a parody review, but an actual review on Megavision's YouTube channel, so you guys can check it out. The audience can check that out. But I'll just do a quick rundown. I mean, this is a weird thing. I can't really recommend the people to buy these because, as you say, Scotty, the price of them is ridiculous. So in the UK, I think it's about, for all 4 of them, if you pre-ordered it and got the big window thing, which I'll slide my one on. There you go. It was about £150 odd. So in America, it's about $200. And yeah, the fact that you only get 4 games on each of these, and they are different games on each of them, but you only get 4 on each of them, it kind of just is like, wow, okay, if 16 games in total, like $200, that's just not good economics, really. And I feel like the actual build quality is not as bad as what you're saying. I think actually, I was playing on mine for quite a while, actually. I played for quite a few hours, like testing out the games and stuff, and I found them perfectly fine to play. I think they are rather on the, I'm not going to lie, they are obviously rather on the small side. So yeah, just as Scotty did it earlier, but a comparison between the actual original Game Gear and these things. You can put the entire Game Gear, the Game Gear Micro, over the screen of the original Game Gear, and yeah, it fits right in the screen basically. And the Game Gear, the original Game Gear screen is obviously taller as well. So it's just insane how tiny it is. So yeah, it's not
smaller than the VMU screen. I just realized. Yeah,
so that the screen on the Game Gear on the Game Gear Micro is smaller than the VMU screen, and like side by side, the VMU is a tiny bit bigger. So it's insane. I found I didn't have a huge problem playing with it though. I don't know if I position my fingers. I just do that basically. I just have my index fingers behind, and that for some reason that's fine. That's comfortable for me. So when I was playing them, I actually found them very playable, very functional. I think the D-pad works really well. The button presses worked really well. So I was playing them fine. And yeah, I was being able to play like Sonic and everything perfectly pretty much. But the screens are very, very tiny. And I'm just going to say it. This big window thing does jack all, basically. Yes, it magnifies it, but like by a tiny, tiny amount. So it's like...
And also it has the weird pattern on it that you can't as clearly see as just looking at the screen.
Annoyingly, my camera is not focusing on my screen properly because I'm holding it up, so you just see a bright light at the moment. But yeah,
Right.
but yeah, when I take it enlarged it a tiny bit. But when I take it off, I'm like, oh, it's enlarged it like a micro fraction. That
I'm trying to see if I can. Yeah, I can't really get it zoomed in close enough for you to see the.
I found it. I found it most helpful when I was playing the Shining Force games, because on the Shining Force games, when you're fighting in like the battle mode, you've got like 4 little squares that sort of say like defense or hold and stuff. So the writing on that's quite small, and when you put that on, you can just see that a little bit clearer. But otherwise, it's pretty pointless. And the downside is because these are from Japan and they're Japanese only, all the games are in Japanese. There's very few games which actually have any English writing in them. So the RPGs in particular, I have no idea what's happening really. Like, I mean, Shining Force is easy to do because it's just battle. You're just fighting battles. You know what to do. There's no really exploring in the Game Gear version of the Shining Force. Other games are easy to play because there's lots of games you don't really need to read stuff. But yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare for that. So I think they're cool, but they're not worth the money. Wow, it's but Scott. Oh, what are you going to say next? Sorry.
Oh, I just had some questions. Go ahead with Scotty though.
I was just going to say, Scotty did a really good parody unboxing, so check that out because I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. It's just, so much fun.
The only one, since you're part of my unboxing, is I probably will lose these things if they stay outside of their box.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to misplace these. I wanted to say real quick on your comment of the big window micro thing or whatever it's called. They probably included it with the bundle because they honestly felt bad if they were to charge people money for that thing on its own. Yeah,
because actually that's the thing with the big window. I've just lost mine. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I tried to do an unboxing for video part of my unboxing video review thing. I tried to do an unboxing of the big window, but it's so fiddly for me to try and do it. I was like, this is not good entertainment for the unboxing. So I sort of pulled out the box, obviously, and showed the initial parts. And I was like, okay, I'll try and put it together. And it's just so awkward. And I was like, right, okay, I'll just try and get it in. And then if I work out how to do it quickly, then maybe I can sort of resume my unboxing by like putting it back together again or whatever. But I finally put it together. And now, as you said, I'm now afraid to take it apart because it feels like it will break. Like once it's in place, it's kind of fine, but it is so flimsy that I'm like, I don't think I can unclip it without damaging it. So yeah, now that's just stuck unboxed forever now because it won't fit back. It will not fit back in this box because it comes in like 3 separate parts, basically.
Holy shit.
But it's quite good. They've designed it that it slides across the Game Gear because initially I was trying to like clip it on like in a weird cranky way, but yeah. And it's good. It's very thoughtful of them that they've included a little round hole for the headphone socket as well. So just for the audience, I'm showing up to the camera. You can see there's like a little tiny hole that you can put the headset through. And yeah, but I think the biggest regrets of these is there's no upgrades to the quality of the games in any way, shape, or form. So visually and audibly, they're not any better of the original Game Gear. Yeah, there's no extra features to any of these games. So you're getting the original bare bones versions, and for the price you've paid for them, yipes! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I thought also I could maybe use my phone with Google Translate on it to hold it up to the screen for some of the RPGs. I sent you guys a screenshot though, because I'm genuinely slightly bummed because one of these games on, I think it's the yellow one. I could just look at the screenshot I shared with you guys. Is the Puyo Puyo JRPG, which I was legit curious to play, and I thought based on the picture it was like a cooking game because it has some girl like meat on a fryer or something. So we loaded up. Rachel actually started playing it. I'm like, here, let me help you with this conversation, honey. And I sent you guys the screenshot, and it just the only thing that showed up translated was the phrase "this meat."
Yeah,
and
yeah, I don't know what it is, if it's the actual characters they're using or something, but Google Translate and the other translator app I've got do not translate on these games at all. Really, they're like the odd word here and there. And Scotty's trying to hold up the box art, but
trying to hold up the back because it's this girl like holding a ladle with a chef's hat on, and she's just next to a delicious looking plate of meat. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's some weird cooking sim that I could finagle my way through. No, it's one of the Puyo Puyo, which is a puzzle game, RPG based around it.
Yeah. Is my camera any?
That's
I don't
awesome.
think my camera's gonna be any better.
That's a little better, but yeah, you can see like the plate
Anyway.
of meat there. Something that might be worth mentioning. I think part of the reason behind the different colors, because there's the yellow with the green buttons, there's the red, there's the light blue, and then there's the black. In Japan, the Game Gear got released in a multitude of colors. Over in America, all we got was the black and then the Sonic Blue, quote unquote. The red one that I have is recapped from a retro shop and whatever, but
Okay.
yeah, they had different colors over in Japan. We only ever had, I think we maybe got a yellow one as well.
Okay.
But I think they use that as an excuse to like, let's bundle these games with this.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
I think in the UK we only got the original black one. I don't know if I remember seeing like an official release in the UK of any other color, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, sorry, Nick, did you say you had some questions?
Yeah, I had a couple. Before I forget it, though, I have to tell you that, Scotty, if I saw a person with the earbuds and the little micro screen on the subway or something, like, never been a bully in my life, but something about seeing that in real life would probably trigger some bully instincts. Like, this needs to be given a noogie.
Yeah. What if I had like these on, like, you know, like an Astro
absolutely.
headset or something, and I'm just like,
Wedgie time.
Graham, if you need a thumbnail for this week or something, I'll just repost this.
Yeah, no, that's all of that just sounds horrific. Like, I can't. The thing that came to mind when I was watching both of your reviews was that, oh, maybe it's like a novelty thing, and I mentioned it earlier. Maybe it's like you just want to do it for like having it on hand, having like a little keychain, what have you. But if the plastic is thin, obviously to make it small so that they can, keep the cost of it down, then it makes me feel like, man, would they like, wouldn't this get all scratched up and torn up? If you kept it on your keys, and that'd be concerning. I'm curious about how long the lithium-ion battery for that lasts, especially if it also has the AAA batteries. Like, what's the weight on that going to be like? And then I saw I forget. I want to say it was in Graham's unboxing where you did the little screen, and there was a big thumbprint, like fingerprint, on the screen, and it was. It's not like it was a bad thing, but it made me think like, oh, cleaning and maintaining this thing might be.
Just to be clear, that's not a thumbprint. That's the screen. It's actually got this weird swirly thing in the screen.
Okay.
That's
the micro.
Because I think the original magnifier for the original Game Gear, the way the glass was designed or the plastic was designed to make it magnify it at the time, it just had to have that weird. It's hard to. I can't really show it on the camera, but it's kind of good.
Never mind the fact I literally just tried to wipe something off in the micro, like on the other side, and I'm like, I have to like get in a good half to almost a full inch into the thing to somehow wipe this off.
Yeah, I mean, so trying to think about the product from a Japanese perspective, there's definitely the novelty. It's in Japanese text, so it's like not that big a deal, but like from an American or British or US global perspective on this thing, it is a collector's thing. Like, this is because I want to have it and I want to have it on my shelf. I can't possibly imagine that this seems practical for everyday use. How long do you know is the lithium-ion battery last?
So I might be wrong on this, but it doesn't. I don't think it's got a lithium-ion battery.
Why would it plug into the
So you just power it directly, like you would the original game. For example, the original Game Gear, you powered directly from the mains. If you could use the Mega Drive or Genesis plug, and it would just plug into the wall, so you could play that way. Because I did test it out, and it seemed to power it, but I don't think it charged it at all in any way. So the idea is you can use
that would make sense.
AAA's or that. I haven't got a micro USB cable next to it. I was going to test it out again, but I'm sure when I tested it out the other day when I was doing the unboxing review, it powered it when I was doing it, but when I unplugged it, it just went off. Unless
Okay.
I got that wrong? I don't know.
No,
Scotty,
no,
did you do that?
No, I didn't try it out. I was trying to look up. Another gentleman did a unboxing of it where he actually took the thing apart to look at the insides.
Oh yeah.
I get to wait for every YouTube goddamn ad in the world, but I was going to look for if there was a lithium on the board at all.
Gotcha.
But
I find that really weird because then it makes the weight of it also an issue. Because at the very least, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have one physically, so I don't know how much it would weigh. But the weight of the 2 AAA batteries would also.
There's no lithium battery in this thing.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Strange.
So they are super light. When you've got the AAA batteries in, though, you do notice a big weight difference in them. But it's not like heavy or anything. But
Gotcha.
they are crazy light. I think if without the batteries in, they're lighter than my keys, for example. Basically, like car keys.
That's what made me immediately regret the purchase. Regret the purchase was when I opened up one and it didn't have batteries in it. It is just so light. Like it's lighter than a VMU, but a VMU has batteries in it. But these seem as practical as like those hip clip things that lasted in the late 90s.
Yeah.
That had like literally the chorus of a song, and you would buy these dumb cartridges that would play like just the chorus of "Oops, I Did It Again" or something. You know,
I have no idea what you're
US
talking
only
about.
thing? So they're like little. They're basically like little CD players, and they'd come with these tiny little discs that you could plug into them, and it would play through a crappy speaker. And I think you could plug in headphones.
Amazing.
Yeah, you could. And there was also like a boombox version, and
and it would only play like 30 seconds of the actual song.
That's wow. And then MP3 players came out. Jeez.
This was between Discman and MP3 players.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's insane. But I think the thing is the annoying thing is the games on these are actually good, and personally I found them quite playable. So, but the fact they're so tiny means you don't want to be playing it for hours, if that makes sense. So, like,
that's the biggest shame. I sent you an image search for the hip clip things, Graham. That's the biggest shame. Is there's some really good games on these that people should have exposure to, but this isn't the way to play them.
Yeah, that's exactly like if is it on the blue Game Gear has a game called Sylvian Tale, which is an excellent Zelda style adventure game, like top down sort of Zelda style adventure game. I love it. I think it's a great Game Gear game, and it's not one that's really that many people know about, I guess. And it's a shame that it's on this thing, basically, because if it was released like some other way, I don't know, on Steam or I don't know, even just some sort of digital downloadable version to these things would be amazing.
I'd say if you think I need these, I need at least 1 or 2 of these because I'm a collector and they're not going to come outside of Japan, look at either the black or the light blue one, because the black one has Sonic, Puyo 2, Outrun, and then an RPG you're not going to be able to read. And then the light blue has Sonic 2, Gunstar Heroes, Baku Baku, which is a puzzle game, and then, like Graham said, Sylvian Tale. So like these offer the biggest variety.
Yeah.
Because the one that has the Shinobi game, unfortunately, I think it's just all of JRPGs as well.
Yeah, and that's another one, because Game Gear Shinobi is probably my favourite Shinobi game. I've said this on the show before. I love the Game Gear Shinobi. It's very different. It's just a really fun game.
Yeah. Columns is another good, like, I feel like that's a staple Game Gear game because I think it was bundled. That's on the red one with Shinobi on there, but... hot damn, 4 games a console. I did hear a rumor or maybe something that if you hold a directional button, you can unlock a hidden game on one of them or something. I'm not really sure. There's unfortunately no information, like very, very little information. And also, because Rachel was asking, like, how do you find that stuff out? I'm like, the weird downfall is I can't search Japan's YouTube, where these were released. Like, I only have the US YouTube channels.
As you sort of say, they are more collector's items, but they are fun. Yeah,
they look good on a shelf, I guess.
Yeah.
Wikipedia says that there is a white model.
Yes. Graham, did you want to mention that real quick at all? Or?
I actually know. I think I know less about it than you do. Sorry.
Okay. So there's a shoot 'em up, a shmup collection that came out recently, and they decided to also put 4 shmups on one of these Game Gear Micros, which is a white version. I think. What are the? Do you see the names of the game there or the series there, Nick?
Yeah, so there's Power Strike, Power Strike 2, GG Alest, GG Alest 2, and also
Alest.
GG Alest 3, which is apparently a new game.
Okay.
Right.
Imagine
Okay.
your game launching on the Game Gear Micro.
Yeah. I will do that while I'm listening to my mini disc hip clip garbage.
Yeah. I just need to make one clarification on one of the things. You mentioned the blue one has Sonic 2 on it. It actually doesn't. It's called Sonic and Tails in Japan, but in the West it's called Sonic Chaos.
Oh, really?
So it's not Sonic 2. It's not Game Gear Sonic 2. It's a different one. So in Sonic Chaos or Sonic and Tails, you can play as Sonic or Tails, but in Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, you can only play as Sonic. And it's a very tough game, Sonic 2 on the Game Gear. In fact, Sonic Chaos is also really tough as well, but they are really good Sonic games.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's move away slightly from the Game Gear Micro. We'll still talk about it a little bit, but if you want to, let's look at the other sort of micro or mini consoles that have really come out recently. So I know there's been some other various ones out there, but these are the main ones that most people talk about. So you have the Nez Classic Edition, which was released in 2016 originally, and they did have a relaunch in 2018, briefly. So they were discontinued after a little while because Nintendo wanted them to be a sort of more of a collector's item, I guess. They released for nearly 6,000 yen or $60 American, or about £50, and they had 30 games in total. Then you had like the Supernez Classic Edition, so the SNES Classic Edition or SNES Mini, some people call it. That was originally released in 2017. That was for around nearly 8,000 yen, about $80 American, or I think it was about 70 to 80 pounds, effectively. That had 21 games in it, but it also had the unreleased Star Fox 2, so you're kind of getting a game that wasn't released before. So it's a really cool idea.
Until you played it. It's not a good game. Like you can see why I think the N64 was out or about to launch, and that was partially why they didn't release Star Fox 2 or something. I forget.
Yeah,
but it's a clunky mess in some areas, especially if they have the neck like Chicken Walker thing.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't. Did they not finish it for the Super Nintendo release? Because I feel like it wasn't even a fully finished game. Was it? Okay, I thought it was not fully. Okay. Yeah, I've only played it briefly, and someone brought one into work, and I played it briefly, and I was like, okay, this is a thing. That happened. And then in 2019, Sega, released the Mega Drive or Genesis Mini, and so that was around nearly 10,000 yen, about 80 American dollars, about 70 English pounds, and that had a whopping 42 games on it, including 2 unreleased games, which were released in the arcade originally, but they basically were planning to come to the Mega Drive or Genesis, but they didn't, which was Tetris and Darius. And so that happened. And then in 2018, so a year before the Sega released theirs, you had the PlayStation 1 Classic. So that came out in 2018. That was also for about nearly 10,000 yen, about $100, about £90. That had about 20 games in it. There was a bit of more controversy around that one because some of the emulation wasn't very good. Also, some of the games were the PAL versions, which were 50 hertz rather than 60 hertz. So in America, those games ran a little bit faster, which is a bit controversial because it's like, why wouldn't you use the better version? Basically, I don't know if you realize that, Scotty. Some of the games were running on the and now we've got the Game Gear Micro.
The PS1,
yeah. And the PlayStation, arguably the PlayStation 1 Classic had some of the worst game selection. There was a couple of big PlayStation games, but there were many that people...
Side note and slightly positive thing about the PS1 that I thought was cool, it had Metal Gear Solid on there, and if anyone's played Metal Gear Solid up to a certain point, there is a part where you need the physical box, because on the back box art, it had the codex frequency.
Yeah.
Someone. they actually have that on the back of the PS1 Mini's box, the frequency
That's
and
good.
stuff. So
nice.
I'm glad someone thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They put enough thought into that, but not enough to think like maybe we should make these games run well. You know?
Yeah.
They may not work very well, but at least they'll be able to finish them. Yes. God. And yeah, now we've got the Game Gear Micro in 2020. So as we've sort of mentioned, if to order it from Japan, it's about nearly 5,000 yen for each individual model. Which is about $46, nearly $50, about £35 for each one. Effectively, they are in Japan only at the moment. I doubt they will come into the West. I'm not sure they will.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, and they only get 4 games in each of them. So you can get 16 games in total if you buy all of them. But yeah, so I guess, what do you guys think of, like, especially the Game Gear Mini, the Game Gear Micro even, compared to some of these other ones? Do you think there's been a best, do you think one company's done it better than the others for the device they've sold? And is there anything going forward that, like, maybe Sega could get inspiration from, or I guess think they could do better for the next console they might release?
I'm going to say this before I forget. That tweet from the Sonic account where it's like, there will be no Dreamcast Mini. You people had your chance in '99.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's like a joke tweet, but I mean, I have my Dreamcast over here under my bed. I would totally get a Dreamcast Mini. And I think the thing that comes to mind as I'm looking at these lists for the different mini consoles is, one, this exclusivity I find a little strange, but I'm realizing there might be licensing or considered more popular in one region versus another. I actually really like the Sega Genesis lineup for the North American. I think there's some that are missing from here that I think are sad from the US version. Like, it has Outrun missing from the North American Sega Genesis Mini. Puyo Puyo 2.
Racing game, you mentioned that, is Road Rash on here.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me that that's an EA title, but they didn't get any sports games, which is like, was most of the Genesis marketing was the sports games it had. That might be licensing snafu as well.
Yeah.
Shining Force 2 is not on here despite being on the Chinese and Korean version, but Shining Force 1 is. Sort of Million, I don't know. Hybrid Front or Adventure Shinobi. Yeah, a lot of these ones on the Sega Genesis Mini are likely licensing issues, but I like that they brought up a few that I really like Alex Kidd and Kid Chameleon are 2 like kind of silly games that I think don't get as much attention as some of the other classic ones do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the PlayStation 1 classic one's definitely not where it's at for me. There's better ways to play some of these games, and I think that's what it comes back to. If I were to design or pick lists, I would pick games that were highlights of the console that you can't really get anywhere else, and I think that would be a better driver for people to go and get it. Because I don't know about you, but like, I wouldn't play Sonic on like a half-inch screen. Like, that kind of sucks. But like, if they had other reasons, other Game Gear games that were great but never got the same attention, like, that would be cool.
Yeah. I think it's.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, Scotty, you go ahead.
I just to tap on Nick's comments, like, Contra Hardcore is on the Genesis Mini. That game on its own, you're not going to pay less than $80 if you want the actual cartridge, and like other things on here. It's weird that they have Castle Illusion starring Mickey Mouse on here, but not other, because that was like, this era was arguably the best era for licensed games between the SNES and the Genesis, in terms of like, even like Home Alone, like other licensed stuff outside of Disney things,
Yeah.
But like, there's the Castlevania game is on the Genesis Mini. I mentioned Contra. There's another one on here I can't remember now. That's hard to come by, or it might be up there in price. But yeah, there's a couple on there. But also nice on the SNES that you have like the Nintendo license stuff. Echo the Dolphin, that's a big one. just how like you can justify the purchases of this being an $80 thing when some of the games on here, if you're a collector or just want to play them legally, are going to be a good chunk of change.
Definitely.
And I do want to just give a mention to the TurboGrafx / PC Engine mini that got released.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that's the best one with the amounts of games on the library, and also how when you play TurboGrafx CD stuff, they actually have like a disc comes down and pops into the fake tray on the menu, and you hear like the disc whirring and clicking and stuff like that. My argument against that though is they did no localizing, so I thought about getting that one because it was before I owned a copy of Snatcher on the Sega CD, because it did get released on the PC Engine. But it's the Japanese version, no localization, so you're going to play and read all Japanese for if you're outside of Japan for that, which is really weird. And Sega did also release the Astro City Mini, the little arcade thing, or I don't think it's out yet.
It's not out yet.
Yeah, right. So Neo Geo's done the arcade machine. Capcom did the horrible thing that looks like a birthday cake, which is those 2 arcade sticks, and it's a bunch of arcade games. You guys remember seeing that? It's shaped in the logo of Capcom, and people thought it was a legit joke.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot until you mentioned shaped like the logo of Capcom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody's like, are you kidding me? So you're telling me that not only can I play this awkwardly shaped thing, but it's 2 joysticks, so if I'm not having someone play with me, I have to like awkwardly set this giant joystick, fight stick,
to the side,
arcade stick on my lap, and like have a shoebox next to me on the couch or something, so I can use it if I'm playing single player.
It can look stupid and be impractical.
Oh yeah. And I think my overall opinion on this stuff is you've got the Genesis Mini. It looks cute on an entertainment system, the SNES Classic, all those, but what it comes down to is what's really cool is this comes with 2 controllers. So did the SNES Classic and the NES Classic. But you're holding those controllers, and then they are the actual size of the controller. So you have a novelty-looking thing on your entertainment center. Even when you're not playing it, don't have it plugged in or whatever, it's got those things there. It looks cute and cool. You're holding the controller of the regular size, so it's like, I enjoy these games. I remember this controller feeling this way in my hands. But when you go to grab a Game Gear, you're like, I can barely hold this thing. I'm gonna break it. Like I have small hands. I have dainty fingers, and I don't feel good about holding this thing. So someone else with bigger hands is gonna be like, I can't play this. This isn't fun. I remember enjoying these games, but I'm not having fun because my hands are cramping up right now. Like, there's the difference of holding the controller, holding a Game Gear Micro. I could talk about this forever.
Yeah. So for me, it baffles me slightly in that Sega personally, I think Sega did an amazing job with the Mega Drive or Genesis Mini, because as we mentioned, they had 42 games in, which is more games than the other sort of the Nintendo or Sony ones. It had some couple of unreleased games, like Tetris, although it's weird if you don't know about it. Tetris was actually officially released on the Mega Drive, but only about 50 copies were made because it was pulled for licensing issues. But there was an arcade version released, which is what's actually on the Mega Drive Mini. It's not the Mega Drive original, because the Mega Drive original actually to buy is like $1,000 or something ridiculous. I don't even remember. It's actually really expensive. They also added in Darius as well. So it's a couple of arcade games have added to this. But it's not just that. They've added in all the other things. So the other consoles have this as well, but the state saves and things like that. So if you're playing a game, you want to go for T or whatever, then you can save it and stuff. And also touching on the region things, I don't know if you remember, but when you're playing on the the Mega Drive or the Genesis, you can choose between the different variations of games depending on their region. So if a game does have rather than just a language thing, if there are actually differences in the games, they've actually kept all those different versions in there. So for example, Super Contra, you can play I believe you can play the American one, the Japanese one, and the PAL one. So you can play in English for American, you can play the Japanese one. The PAL version's a different game. It's called Probotector. You've got different characters, different sprites running around and stuff. So it's actually a different game. I don't know if you've ever actually played it before. I think the bosses and the levels are actually basically the same thing, but there's actually a bit of difference in the graphics and sprites on the screen. So the characters are little robots instead of humans. Because we didn't have Contra over here. We had Probotector. And I don't know if you knew that at all. Scotty's looking at me baffled right now on the screen. So I thought that was just a really lovely touch that Sega did with the Mega Drive and Genesis Mini. They added in all these cool extra features. You can change the backgrounds of the menus and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. Not essential, but just kind of fun things. And then the Game Gear Micro. The one thing I think you can do is basically you can change it so the box art is face on or spine view, and you can't read the spine view because it's too small a screen, so it's pointless. And they haven't done anything else to it, so it baffles me that Sega did that. But essentially, I know these are going to just go down as collector's items for people who really want them, and it's a big thing in Japan. But they could have made it a little bit more functional and added in those cool extra features, which would just made it even better and well worth it. And yeah, Scotty's showing off all the little buttons and stuff.
The Genesis Mini, you have a cartridge slot that you can't actually. Well, they did make fake cartridges in Japan and the UK, I think. And also the weird old headphone volume knob works. The reset button does reset it. There's a power switch. And another game that they switch up depending on the region is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. It becomes Puyo Puyo when you play the Japanese version. Yeah,
so there's a few games in there that do it. And as you say, they've got games which are not technically Sega games. They've got like the Disney games like World of Illusion, Castle of Illusion. They've got a great list of games. And yeah, some from by EA and Capcom as well. Yeah, it's because they've got Street Fighter in it, haven't they? Am I getting that wrong? They've got Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, haven't they? I'm actually looking at this game because I was getting confused because there was also the At Games one which had Mortal Kombat on it, but this one's got Capcom. So yeah, it's got some Capcom games on here, like Castlevania as well. Brilliant list of games, really good. And then they did the Game Gear Micro. So I guess very quickly, because there was rumoured to possibly be the Dreamcast Mini would be Sega's next console. What do you guys, not talking about games, we don't want to talk about what games we want on there, but any features or functionality you think would be really cool to have with a Dreamcast Mini or Micro?
VMU compatibility.
Ooh.
I was thinking about like that. What would they do to capture that feel? Like, even if it's just something where the controller has a VMU screen and all it does is light up and have the swirl on it or something silly.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a weird, unnecessarily revolutionary thing.
It was kind of cool. So to steal the opportunity to talk about Sonic Shuffle again real quick. When you played in party mode
here.
When you played in party mode, you could actually hide your hand of cards, and you could look down at the VMU, which would display the cards. And so there's lots of little features that the VMU had that I think never got fully explored by all the games that they had the options for. So like, although it's unrealistic because most people don't have VMUs anymore, but like if you could have the game be compatible with your current VMU, well,
I have way too many VMUs, I think. I get them.
The average person may not have a VMU. So if they were like, hey, you can use your VMUs, I'd say about like 80% of the people who might be interested would be like, I don't have a VMU.
Probably all the people that picked up these dumbass things, the micro.
I think the main thing for me, as I was looking at the availability for the different libraries, was the SNES Classic stood out to me because they released a bunch of games that were unreleased outside of Japan. So Earthbound, for example, Final Fantasy VI had its only its different version put out. What was the other one? There's a few of these games that didn't have US or proper PAL releases. So like, what's that one Dreamcast game where it's like you go around in the RPG studio of them
Sega
developing?
Gaga.
Yeah, Sega Gaga. Yeah. That would be hilarious, and I think a good one to have. I think for me, it's put the games out there that you don't have easy or available access to regularly. If you do that, then people will do it. And it's kind of hard with the Dreamcast because you know the ease of which you can rip games and just put it right in the Dreamcast, and it works fine.
Yeah, I think if they were to like have a couple of the big games like Sonic Adventure, obviously, but then it'd be cool to have some of the those games that people really get a chance to play. That'd be really cool. Yeah,
Sonic Shuffle.
I think
Sonic Shuffle. If they could release Sonic Shuffle with better loading times, I'd probably be really enjoy it because that was the most painful thing about the game, just so slow and everything. But sorry,
It's true.
I'll move away. Scotty's frowning and shaking his head, so yeah.
It's fine to have a wrong opinion. You're both okay with that. The thing with the Dreamcast Mini, they have to acknowledge the VMU somehow, I feel. So even if they had like a way to play the VMU mini games on the console and like have a like a smaller screen. I mean, it'd have to be a smaller screen because the pixels would just be blown up on an HD TV or a widescreen view or something. I think if they somehow threw in like, here's Chow Adventure or here's the Power Stone mini games or things like that to kind of just, or even I don't even know if it would make sense, but you would, if you were playing Sonic Shuffle or something that didn't require the VMU, but you would have it in 4:3 ratio, and then on the right side of the screen, like each VMU screen or something crazy like that, which
That'd
would
be
be
kind of cool.
the purpose of like the sports games showing your plays and stuff, and Sonic Shuffle. But like I remember like, the Resident Evil games would use that as your health condition.
Yeah.
You wouldn't bring up the menu. There's videos online you can find of like forgotten VMU mini games and functions.
Yeah,
and
features.
What if the controller had like a screen in it, like a VMU basically, but maybe it wasn't detachable, but it did that for the games. Like you could look down and see what's happening. But they released an app, a VMU app, so like VMU mini games could go on there. So like Chow Adventure or whatever, or if they had Skies of Arcadia, for example. I know there's some mini games that came with that. So you could play.
Kind of cool.
You could play those. You go, download the app, unlock it in the game, and have somehow have the app tied to your Dreamcast Mini account or whatever they might do. That would be really cool. I think that's something that would be cool because everyone's got a phone. Android or OS or whatever you've got. I think that could work quite well.
That's what the crew behind Elysian Shadows that has unfortunately been lost to the Kickstarter atmosphere. They are releasing a JRPG for Dreamcast and also PC, and they were talking about having a VMU app so that you could use your phone as a VMU with that game because it was going to have VMU functions if you're playing on the Dreamcast. Crazy ambitious title, Elysian Shadows. Hopefully it does get released someday.
I have faith.
Yeah. But that's to just tap on what you were saying there, Graham. It is a functionality in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that Sega would do that because that would be a lot more commitment than they want with these mini consoles to incorporate your phone and stuff. So yeah, I don't know what I would want on the Dreamcast Mini though. Just basically the latter half of their library that is super rare. Probably it would be mostly Capcom games, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's just really, really cool to see one release, but as long as they actually do things like actually they wouldn't need them in Dreamcast games, actually really state saves, like because most of those games you could save almost anywhere, you had to save plenty of time, maybe a state save function, I don't know, just in case you're stuck on a boss and you want to pause it and save it for that point. I mean, what do you guys think about internet capabilities on the games? Yay or nay? Would you think it's gone, it's done, like, or do you think having some sort of internet in them? Yeah, for like multiplayer, for example, like not necessarily adding new multiplayer to games, but games that had the ability to go online and stuff. Like, what would you think about that?
I need my Christmas tree in Station Square and Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind
exactly
of what I was thinking.
They could actually release Sonic Adventure with all those DLC. I say DLC because they're actually all locked to the discs. But all those little things you could download, all of them, Japanese and UK and American.
I think asynchronous is fine. I think if you tried to hook those networks up to create multiplayer versions of the multiplayer that you had in the game, that would probably work horrifically, so I wouldn't recommend that. But any of the features that had the Dreamcast modem, I think would be definitely good to include. I
just think it'd be like, say for example, if you had Phantasy Star Online on it and Quake, like I think that'd just be fun just to go back and be like, hey, I can play with Scotty on broadband connection, Wi-Fi, play him at Quake or Phantasy Star Online, and it'd be really good. I don't know, or Planet Ring, release Planet Ring again, get that out.
That's asking Sega to set up servers and spend more money on servers.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
It
Developing the netcode
happen,
would be.
But
yeah,
I can dream. Cast. Anyway, I think we could probably maybe put this to bed now. We don't know if the Dreamcast is actually going to happen at all. The rumors going out there. It's just interesting to look at it, see how the different companies have handled this in different ways, and how Sega's done something amazing. Well, I think is amazing, and then something not so amazing and very expensive, which is a bit nuts. But yeah.
Well, we should mention the rumor came from the. Wasn't it the creative director from Sega saying like we're exploring, or it would be cool to see the Master System Mini or the Dreamcast Mini. We're just trying to think of what would, I'm paraphrasing, but what would appeal to the public more than the domestic market of Japan. So that means they're definitely not doing a Sega Saturn Mini, which I would love because some of that library the world needs to be exposed to. But you know, they would sooner do the Dreamcast than the Saturn for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with all that. But yeah, I guess that will do it for this. As we said before, check out Scotty Mo's unboxing and also the Megavision's unboxing and review of the Game Gear Minis, micros. I keep calling them minis now, micros. That's what they're called. So yeah. For the audience, the listeners, Scotty is now eating his red Game Gear Micro, which is probably the most flavoursome of them, I guess. Nice cherry or strawberry flavour there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oops, all micros. Delicious.
So that will do it for the show this week, I think. And yeah, have you got any announcements at all, Scotty or Nick, in the works?
Nope, we've got our usual plugs in between, so keep an eye on our stuff and follow us on Twitter. And yeah.
Brilliant. Lovely stuff. Cool. So catch you all later. Be excellent.
Nick was going to plug something, though.
Oh, were you? Sorry.
I mean, it's just
brilliant.
No, just same as what I did last time. Twitter, Instagram at the Nick Flair, blog stories with Nick.blog. I actually am planning on having things in the works. So maybe look out, maybe not. I don't know.
Lovely stuff. Well, that'll do it. Catch you all later and be excellent to each other.
He's a ghost.
I loved your unboxing, by the way. Just want to say that.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I watched your review. But yeah, thank you for that. Rachel helped me out a good bit with it and enjoyed some of it. What's that?
I love that. It's like, I loved your review. And then you're like, yes, I watched yours. Sort of.